Hey cats, what's happening? Come on in, have a seat, pull up a chair. I'll tell you a little story today. Over on the west side of town, by the railroad tracks, there was a little old sports bar. I'm sure it was home to a lot of people, but I never really hung out there at all. But there was a couple there a married couple, and they were going through some rough times. They were heading down the divorce road. Let's put it that way. They knew everybody there at the bar, and everybody knew them. He was, or portrayed himself to be kind of a high roller, the gold chain and smoking the cigar, trying to act like a tough guy. And she was a good-looking blonde, and she just liked to go over there and have a few drinks and then go out on the dance floor and dance the night away. And that bar, being a sports bar, they played kind of pop music kind of thing, good dancing music for women, and that's what she liked to do. Well, he got bored with that bar and he wanted to go to the biker bar. He told his lady, he said, I'm not going to go to sports pub tonight. We're going to go to the biker bar. Well, she said, I don't want to go to the biker bar. I like, the bar that we go to. I know my friends are there and I like to dance. And there's nothing for me to do at the biker bar. He said, well, we're going to the biker bar whether you like it or not. That's what we're going to do. Well, over on the other side of town, I pulled my Harley up to the front door, put the kickstand down. That's where I always like to park, right there by the front door. For some reason, they always left that spot open, and I always parked there. For all I know, it was probably left open for a pedestrian walkway, but I pulled my bike up there and put my kickstand down. That's where I parked. Now, I was going through a divorce situation at the time. I was living here by myself. My ex had already checked out and moved in with another guy. Although we were still married, we were going through one hell of a terrible divorce situation. There wasn't anything to eat here, so I'd often go up to the bar and get something to eat. And it was a weekend. I remember it was Friday, Saturday night, and went up to the bar. And first thing on the order was to get something to eat. So I ordered myself a pizza. That pizza came out steaming hot, looking good. I like pizza. And I had no sooner picked up a piece and taken one bite, my buddy comes up behind me and reached over my shoulder and grabbed a big chunk of my pizza and shoved half of it in his mouth right there. Well, I'm that kind of guy that if you try to take food off my plate, you're lucky to come out of there with an arm. So I wasn't too happy about that, but the rest of the guys around there thought that was pretty funny and they got a good laugh out of it. But I asked them, I said, come on, man, I'm hungry. This is my dinner, and I'm not feeding the whole freaking bar. Well, anyway, my buddy pulled up a bar stool next to me and we sat there chatting. Well, as it is when you're in the bar, the front door was to my back, and I was sitting there at the bar. Just had finished up my pizza, and the barmaid took the dishes away and brought us a beer. And we were sitting there nursing a beer and just chit-chatting. Well, like I said, as it is with the door to my back, and no matter where you are in the bar, when the front door opens and somebody walks in, you always turn your head to see who it is. Is it one of your old buddies, one of your bros? Is it, an enemy? Is it somebody that's never been there before? Well, the front door opened, and I turned my head to look, and in comes this high roller with the gold chain and puffing on his cigar. And right away it caught my attention because he didn't fit into the biker bar. But right behind him was this tall, gorgeous blonde. Well, I nudged my buddy, and I says, get a load of this. And he turns around and looks at me. He goes, oh, come on, you don't need that. And I said, that ain't what I'm talking about, dude. Come on. I said, no, I just am pointing out they don't look like they belong here. They're not bikers. Well, he had to agree, but it didn't seem to faze him. He could care less. Well, the old high roller, he strolled around the bar, ordered himself a beer, and I think bought somebody a drink, and tried to pick up conversation with different people. And in the meantime, there was a gal who kind of had an interest in me, but I didn't have an interest in her, if you know what I mean. One of those, like, oh great, here she comes again. Try to hide my face so she doesn't see me or something. Well, she had somehow knew this tall blonde that was with the high roller, and she grabbed her by the arm and she brought her around to the other side of the bar where I was sitting to introduce her to me. And she introduced her to me as, "This is Valerie." Oh, I was nice to meet you, and so that was that. Well, a little while later, High Roller comes over and introduces himself to me because he knew that I was introduced to his wife, or his soon-to-be ex, and bought me a drink right off the bat, and trying to be real cordial, trying to befriend his way into the scene there. I'm a nice guy, I had no problem with that. I'm not going to be a hard ass and turn people away. So if you're nice to me, yeah, I'll return the favor. I'll be nice back to you. Well, he invited me to come over and sit at their table. They had a little round table over in the corner, so I went over there and had a seat. And I was seated right next to his wife. They were nice people, and we talked for a little while, and she told me she had never been to a biker bar before, and she thought it was kind of interesting, and she liked to dance, and she wanted to know if I would dance with her. Oh, I said, hell no. No. I'm not a dancer. I'm not going to dance. I'm sorry. You have to find somebody else. Well, her husband tells me, he says, I'm not dancing with her. He goes, I don't dance at all. I'm not going up on that dance floor. Well, she grabs me by the arm and she pulled me out of my chair. She said, come on, we're going to go up and dance. Well, I knew all these people in the biker bar, and they knew me, and they knew I didn't dance, so I was a little embarrassed to get pulled up there, but, I went up there and tried to, do some moves. Well, most of the people that went up there and danced were the women. And there was a couple gals up there that were dancing too, and they said, "Come on, Itchy, you got to loosen up. You're too stiff. You got to swing those hips. You got to move your arms. You got to get into the flow of the music." And so after time, I started to get the move of it, and they're like, "Yeah, that's right, that's good." And really had a pleasant time. It was rather enjoyable. Well, that opened a can of worms, because every time another song came on, she was grabbing me by the arm and saying, "Come on, we're going to go dance again." And her husband was shaking his head going, "Hell no, I ain't going, so you go, you do it." So I ended up there on the dance floor quite a bit, and found it to actually be a pretty good exercise workout. I mean, I'd come out of there sweating and be like, wow, instead of just sitting around drinking beer, now I'm actually getting some aerobics in. Not to mention I was up there with all the ladies, and it was pleasant, it was fun. So after a few weeks, it became a routine thing that they started showing up there every weekend, and insisted that I come over and spend some time sitting at their table. And of course, she insisted that I go up on the dance floor with her so we could dance half the night away. And that's exactly what we did. Well, as time went on, this high roller went out and bought himself a motorcycle, bought himself a Harley Davidson. Didn't know how to ride it, but he tried really hard to fit in with the rest of the bikers. And in trying to support his tough guy image, he shared some very disturbing thoughts with me. Told me how he was going to off his wife. He was going to pop her in the head with his handgun. He's going to put her in a 55-gallon drum and fill it with acid, and once she was dissolved, he was going to pour her down the drain. Roll the barrel out to the street and pour her down the street sewer. Well, I told him right then and there, I said, boy, that's about the disturbing thing I've ever heard, and you know, you shouldn't even be talking that kind of stuff. I said, dude, you got a problem and you need to get it straightened out. I said, I don't know if you got anger issues or what, but I said, that ain't right. It ain't right. Time went on, and I ended up getting a phone call from Val. And she tells me that he's threatening her with his handgun. And she's scared to death, and she's got to get out of the house. She had locked herself in a bedroom and didn't know what to do. Well, I told her at that point, I said, you know, you need to get out. You have to get out of that house. I don't know how you're going to get out of there, but you got to get out of there. I was frightened for her. You know, I had seen another couple in years past that had, both of them were died in a murder-suicide situation, and I didn't want to see that happen again. So my head was swimming. I thought, boy, here I am right in the middle of this, and I don't want to see this happen. I've got to figure out something that I can do here. Well, I left work a little early one day, and I went into town, grabbed a newspaper, and I found a rental apartment for really reasonable. I called the landlord. She said, you can move in right away. So I went to the bank and I pulled money off of an investment that I had, and I paid for 3 months rent on this apartment. I got a hold of V again and I said, you need to get out of there. I got a place for you. I'll meet you, and bring everything you need with you. Just pack a suitcase. You're not going to be staying at the house anymore. I don't want to see you hurt. So that's what happened. I moved her into this apartment, and it worked out very well. She was just so blessed. She just couldn't believe, you know, that I had done that for her. And she was so relieved to be out of there. And she felt at least somewhat safe being out of the house. And so, to make a long story short, as years went by, V and I began a very close bond and a very tight friendship that ended up in her and I getting married. Today, we're like two peas in a pod. We're bonded. We're one. I mean, we're very, very happy with each other. In fact, I don't think I've ever been any happier in my entire life. Everything's done a complete turnaround for both of us, and we're doing so well right now. So, little did I know back in that day when I sat at the bar with my buddy, and somebody walked in the door, and I turned around and looked, and I saw this high roller walk in there with his gold chain chomping a cigar, and then this beautiful tall blonde come in behind him. Little did I know that one day she would be my wife. I would have never imagined that in my wildest dream. But it did. You never know. It just, when I look back in hindsight, I just shake my head sometimes and think, wow, how did all of this happen? It just seems so crazy. But now, the way things are with us, we can both tell you, V and I can both tell you it was meant to be, because both of our lives have never been better. So there you go, cats. Give me a thumbs up. Like my video, please. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe. We will do lots of videos in the future. I've got plenty of stories. We'll take rides on the scooter. We'll do projects around here. We'll even take trips other places. And if that ever happens, if we can ever get out of this pandemic stage where everything's on lockdown. But I will keep you entertained anyways. You can always come back and sit around with me, and we'll talk about something. Until next time, guys, I'll catch y'all later.